Hello, everybody. I am so excited to share with you my latest setups for my writing planners and how I'm going to be using them to support my writing this year and also my intentions and goals for the year. So I'm excited to share this. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Happy 2026. I can't believe we're already a week in. And it is nighttime right now. And I am actually just recording this. I've spent the whole day kind of going back and forth between printing out pages and setting this up and packing for a trip to North Carolina. So I have been really busy today and I'm finally fitting this in. But I am so giddy and excited for this writing year. I feel like if you have been watching this, you know I have struggled to really balance everything in my life over the past few years, but I'm starting to get the hang of it a little bit more. And I did just recently finish a new book, my 31st novel, and I am looking forward to getting that edited this month, hopefully, and published, and then writing the next book in the series. So I have big plans for this year, but also a little bit of hesitancy. So we'll talk about that as we go. I also am hoping to read more this year, which we'll talk about in a minute. I just got a brand new Kindle and I have a Kobo Libra Color as well. So we'll talk about those and just kind of hang out and talk about intentions for writing for the year. I guess I will actually start with this one. If you are new here, hello and welcome. My name is Sarra Cannon. I am a fully indie author. I have been self-publishing since 2010 and am the author of 31 books. The 31st book hopefully will be coming out in January or February this year. Oh man, what a journey it has been. I started self publishing in 2010, and I am still writing in the same story world that I started in back then. And I've also written several other series. But I guess as a little bit of a intro to the whole idea of goals and intentions for this year is that somewhere along the way, 2014, 2015, I started to really go through heavier time where I felt the pressure of success. Like I had never had like a breakout success. I still never have hit the New York Times or the USA Today or any kind of big bestseller list other than Amazon top 25. But I was finding success. I was making several $100,000 in my books. And suddenly there was just something about it, like the pressure. I mean, I know it sounds like a dream come true and we all would love it. So I am super grateful for it. But at the same time, it's hard to explain. But it just somehow triggered something in me like, maybe I don't deserve this. What if I can't sustain this? I don't know what to do. And I was struggling to find my way. And I made some very big mistakes during that time. So I still say this with love for myself because I know sometimes when we're in those periods of real struggle and mental health struggles, we're just doing our best. But in hindsight, it's easy to judge ourselves for the things that we feel like we did wrong. And so I really should approach this as saying, like, I learned a lot of lessons rather than I just made some big mistakes, but I'm still kind of getting to that point. But anyway, I would say the mistakes that I made is number one, I started too many other series. So I had a successful series, but I just could not force myself to write in it because the pressure was so high. So I just kept thinking, let me try this story, let me try this story. And sometimes I switched to different genres entirely. I was just kind of playing around, but really searching for my spark. And that in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's a great thing to love our writing and so forth. But also, as someone who was the sole income for my family and writing was my only source of income, I made choices that weren't the best for my income, that I thought were going to be best for my mental health, but ended up actually adding more stress over time because instead of just having one main series to write, now I had a second, third, fourth, and at one point I had five different series going on at once. And the pressure of that really crippled me. The other big mistake, so to speak, that I made was that sort of writing in different genres and not staying consistent in sending out newsletters to my readers, marketing to my readers, like really nurturing that community as much as I should. And, them waiting so many years for the next book in the series. So I know this is kind of starting out, not a writing planner, but like writing intentions. But I just kind of started with that explanation because that gives you the foundation for sort of where I am to a degree. Fast forwarding a little bit, when I hit 2018. Actually, next month will be 8 years since I started this YouTube channel. In 2018, I was getting back to my writing. I had found some success again and I was really enjoying it. I had a really great year in 2018 and published 5 books. It was my fastest year of writing of all time. And I started this YouTube channel and there was just a lot of spark, a lot of excitement in my career and life. And so I started YouTube channel, which meant courses also and a new newsletter, a second Instagram, 2 YouTube channels. And that all was going great until I got pregnant and had a second baby at 42 years old. So then there were a lot of things going on in our personal lives, like moving houses and living on the road and various other things. And even though I was trying to stay connected to my writing, I still had these series that fans were waiting on. And I was just struggling to get the books out and manage everything all at once. So it has taken me some time to get back to a place where I feel like I'm ready to be writing again. And as it stands, you guys are going to see some content this year on this channel called Project Phoenix, which is really this idea of like rising from the ashes to become a better version of yourself or a better version of your career. Because for me, I'm so ready. I'm feeling that call to get back to marketing my books, like really communicating with my fans. I've never lost my fans, but it's just this idea of I haven't sent out regular newsletters. I haven't been promoting my books in any way. There's a lot that needs to change in terms of the blurbs and the categories and things like that. And I've been so focused on teaching self publishing and supporting other writers that I haven't been focusing on my own like marketing. So this year we're going to see how well I can do and my big intention, like all of that like 7-minute talk, my big intention for this year is to really figure out a way to balance the two because like I don't want to stop teaching. I really want to focus on that. But I also really want to get back to marketing my own career because it's just fun for me to sell books and communicate with readers. And so this is the year, hopefully, I get back to it. So, with all that being said, these 2 planners in particular are going to be supporting me on that journey, as well as some stuff that I'm going to be putting into Asana. I'm not going to show you that today, but we will kind of start here because I did not have a book release since 2022 and or was it 2022? 2021 was my last book release in my main Shadow Demon Saga series. Then I finally published a new book, Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw, in October of 2024. And then in October of 2025, I read my latest book, Mirror of Shadows, on my YouTube channel at Sarra Cannon. I'll link that down below if you want to listen to it, but it's unedited. I was reading it as I was writing it. And so now I'm in the process of editing it. I'm adding about 20,000 words to it, and then I will publish it hopefully this month or next month. And I'm writing the next book in that series, which is all tied to my main Shadow Demon saga. So I have one main world that has 11 books with one final book to go, book 12, but it has been 5 years, 4.5 years since book 11 came out. So I've got some work to do to sort of reconnect with that fan base. I think there are probably thousands of people who have forgotten about the series or figured I abandoned it or whatever. So a lot of what I'm going to be doing this year is sharing like true tactics and what's working, what isn't working, and experimenting with new ways, like maybe some Facebook ads, going back to maybe some new covers and changing up some blurbs, just trying different things, collaborations, TikTok, like various other things that I'm going to be trying, hardcover special editions. I'm really excited for it, but I also know it's all going to take time and it's going to be really vulnerable because as someone who teaches a self-publishing course, I know that there are going to be a lot of people looking at me to be like, does she know what she's talking about? But in this career, we have to be free to experiment and try because what works for one author may not work for another. What works in one genre may not work in another. And so, I'm going to be vulnerable with you guys. I'm going to show you the process of here's what I tried. It didn't work the way I thought, et cetera, et cetera. It's like you have to be willing to do that if you want to be an indie author because there's just no one formula to success. There are best practices, there are things that work for the majority of people, or there are paths that you can follow. But if you put 10 7-figure indie authors in a room, they would have 10 totally different paths to success. And you just have to be willing to get vulnerable and to try things. I talk to people all the time that are like, I've tried everything. But then when you really talk to them, the only thing they really tried was like, I applied for a book club or posted 5 times on TikTok. And it's like, I know some of you are working really hard and you're doing a lot more than that and still not finding the success you want. But I promise you that sometimes all it takes is that one little tweak, a different book cover, something different in your marketing, somebody recognizing your book and promoting it. There's value in continuing to try and to experiment. So, okay, that's what we're going to be doing this year. Project Phoenix. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a little bit scary. It might be a little bit heartbreaking at times, but it will be real and hopefully it will be very helpful to share that process with you guys. So, this is my B6 Stalogy. It is in a Aura Estelle planner cover. You guys have seen this if you have followed my channel. If you have never followed my channel before and you are new here, hello, hello, welcome. Hit that subscribe button and join the family. We talk about a lot of writing content, but we also talk a lot about sustainable goals and mental health and just being somebody who is able to go after your goals in a sustainable and healthy way. So if that sounds like something fun for you, as well as talking about pretty planners and how they can support your life, then you belong here. So, welcome, welcome. I used this planner all last year, since January, for my book, A Mirror of Shadows. And I tried setting it up with lots of little plotting pages and stuff in the beginning. And there were a lot of things I didn't use. And I think that the reason why was that in this bound planner, it felt so permanent to put it in here. And then I kept like scribbling things out. And then I felt like, okay, well, now chapter 1 is messed up. And I can't, like, with a happy planner style or disc planner, you can just pull pages out all the time and replace them. But with this, it's like, well, this was my spot and I don't want to move chapter 1 to the back. And so this did not work great for plotting. But where this really started to shine is just in the notes, like just random thoughts about different characters and what's going on. So that's mostly what I used it for. So as we get to the back where I did not fully finish the planner, what I decided to do was just, I'm going to put editing notes. There's a few pages left to put editing notes. And then I'm going to just do some brainstorming pages for A Throne of Thorns, which is the second book in the series. So I've got, I don't know, these aren't numbered, or I feel like they were numbered, but maybe they're not. There's maybe 50 or so pages here. And so we're going to try just minimal plotting and some brainstorming and things like that in the back. So if this gets filled out, or when it gets filled out, there are still more books to come in this series. I'll just pull out another B6 Stalogy and continue to write. So the kind of things that go in here for me moving forward are just going to be, I'm out at a coffee shop and I'm just thinking about my main character and how she's feeling about something, or I'm trying to figure out a plot twist, or I'm trying to think what's the next battle. So this particular story world, the Shadow Games, is a prison world where all of the characters, or all the people that live in the world that have been forced into this world, are part of different factions. So you have like an amethyst faction, a ruby faction, a citrine faction, an emerald faction, etc. And they are forced to fight against each other in these sort of gladiator style games. Although I don't know if it's gladiator so much as it feels like Squid Games. Sometimes it's like they don't know what the game will be before they get there. Sometimes, like what we've seen so far in the series, is like 5-on-5, but sometimes it is also going to be 1-on-1 and things like that. So these are the Shadow Games. And so my character, Bex, my main character, has at the beginning of A Mirror of Shadows been forced through this portal into this prison world, the shadow world, the mirror. So I have to be thinking when they get to a game, for example, they have to fight against somebody else. What is the magic? What's the game? Is it going to be a tower? Is it going to be a maze? Is it going to be some kind of, capture the flag? What's the game? And so I will, for example, just be going through and saying, okay, let's think the first game of the original Shadow Games. What is going to happen in this? Who are the characters? What are the other team's abilities? What kind of magic is going to be used? What's the surprise twist? How does it end? Stuff like that. So it's plotting, but it's really just brainstorming. And I tend to brainstorm better by hand than I do typing. So all of that lovely brainstorming will go into this journal. And I've got some pages set up for a little bit of plotting. So let's see if I can find the pages I need to. Oh, I did mark it. Blah. So I started with this little timeline, but did not really get anything done. I was like, oh, let's finish it by January 16th. That's not going to happen. I should just pull this page out, but I won't. Uh, but I do have little scene things. These stickers were from Procrastiplanner, etc. I have her shop linked down below. I don't know if she still has these or not, but it's just enough scenes so that I read them in episodes when I'm reading them on YouTube. So this would be like episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, and so on. Then I have a list of all my characters, and I'm going to write down what their magic is so far from the first one so I can carry it through. And then I just have some like character plotting sheets for the two main characters because this is a romance between Bex and Slate, an enemies to lovers romance. And then I've got some place to write the themes of this particular book and then all the brainstorming. So there's very minimal sort of plotting stuff because I'm going to be putting that into my other journal. So this one will just go with me to like coffee shops or when I'm ready to brainstorm. And then this one, because it's so big and it takes up a lot of space and it's heavy, will be one that stays pretty much primarily on my desk. Sorry for the glare here, but this is a no-teak black mask croco. For those of you that saw me set up my pocket planner, it is the exact same planner, except that one is tiny and has rings, and this is like happy planner size and has discs. These black metal discs came from Cloth and Paper. And I will not even tell you how long I sat here to get this set up, but it made me very happy. I just went through a lot of different things. I love decorating the pockets. This is not functional in any way other than the page flags. It is purely just decorative. But one thing I did do this time is I have this kind of museum putty, and I went through and just put everything down so that it won't like move around every time I open it up. I think that will be helpful for me. I also spent quite a bit of time printing out like vision boards, mood boards, other like plotting sheets and things like that. So that's kind of what's all in here. This cover is just a clear plastic cover from Cloth and Paper. I will link that down below. I have Lucy Heartfilia, which is one of my favorite anime characters from Fairy Tale on here, and my Broken Chapter Society member card. The print here underneath is not actually a Happy Planner cover. It's just a like a mood board that I made from pictures from Pinterest. These pictures do not belong to me other than this one, A Throne of Thorns, made by my cover artist Raven. But this other stuff just came from Pinterest. And then I wrote down some of these little like quotes like Shadow Games, Trust No Throne, Slow Burn, those kind of things, just as inspiration. And I just printed it on HP photo paper, and that sits behind this clear cover. And it makes it really easy to switch out the cover all the time because it's really just an image. So on the back, I just taped down some cute little stickers that I had. I honestly do not remember where I got this. This might have been a Happy Planner thing, but it's just like little pockets. So I put that here in the front with some of the book covers for the books that like series that I've got running. Then I have an inbox. This is also from Cloth and Paper. It just has a little semicircle here, and you can just pop Post-it notes on this if you need to remember anything. So right now it's clear and empty, but eventually it'll be like, oh, somebody said you should listen to this podcast, or somebody said this was a good course on TikTok or whatever, and I can just put that all in this inbox when I need to remember it. Then I have these tab dividers. These are glass plastic is what they're called, from Cloth and Paper, in the Happy Planner size. It has 6 different tabs. And for all my tabs, for all my different setups this year, I have not put labels on them. So I'll have to go through at some point next week and put labels on all of these. But this first section is really my like yearly strategy planning section. I did want to print out the 2026 Plan Your Writing Year from the live stream, but it wouldn't fit with everything else in here. So it's printed out, but it's just, I wanted to move it over here from my other Happy Planner. Didn't end up moving it. But if you want help strategizing what your writing is going to be this year, like how much words you can write or how many chapters you can write, how many books you can work on, and some other things about your strategy, there is a live stream that I do every year. So there's one for planning 2026 that I'll link down below, and it comes with a free workbook. And we use that workbook in the live stream. So if you haven't seen that, definitely go check it out if you want a little bit of help figuring out your writing strategy. All of that is down below. And to get that workbook, as well as a lot of the free writing printables that I use in my own plotting, you just have to sign up for my newsletter list and you will get access to my free resource library. And I'm going to be adding a bunch of stuff to it in 2026. So definitely come join us. This will look familiar if you've seen my setup so far this year. I have put this in purple, pink, and now blue in every single one of my planners. I just made it on Canva. There's a link to make it yourself down below if you would like. It's printed on vellum, and then behind it is just a 2026 calendar. This one is Sunday start, but if you go into Canva, you can get a Monday start as well. So this one is just for looks, but I have a second one printed on the back, and I'll show you in a minute kind of what I plan to do with that. But I have some stickers, and now I'm like, where did they go? I think they might be back in my bedroom, but I have a color code that is for the different series and books that I'm going to be working on. And what I want to do is highlight and then put a sticker dot where when the books come out so that I can see at a glance how I'm doing on my goals. This bestseller in progress has my branding colors, and I just made this in Canva as well. Then on the back side of that, I have my vision board for 2026. And if you guys have seen some of my other videos of setups, I was printing on this sort of cheaper paper that I have. But for this particular planner, I pulled out my HP like official photo paper because I really wanted nice images, as nice as I could get. And I think they turned out really, really nice. All of this just comes from Pinterest. And I made the vision board like a collage in an app called Penly that is on my Samsung Galaxy tablet. It's so cute. I just love it. So then I have a printable here from My Life Plans on Etsy. Again, I will link as much of this as I can below. Just be forewarned that I am going on vacation to North Carolina. Literally, we get on a plane tomorrow morning and I still have to pack tonight. So we'll see how much of the links I can get done. But if you don't see a lot of links in the description, just let me know what you'd like to see and I will get them when I get back. But this is basically a full year at a glance with the days over here on the side. So you've got this box. This is kind of similar to something you would see at the beginning of a Hobonichi. And what I want to do is mark all the days that I either edited, wrote, or worked on marketing so that I can see at a glance how much work and time I'm actually putting into it. I think this will help me stay balanced as I start to think through how am I going to balance Heart Breathings and my writing career. So then we have this one also from My Life Plans at Etsy. This is just a yearly overview. It has each of the months and some little lines here. This is another thing where I am going to actually use to pre-plan my strategy for the year. So I'm probably going to be filling this out right as soon as I get home with what am I working on. So I'm going to make note on this spread of any, like I have audiobooks going. I'm going to be making hardcovers. I'm going to be making large print. I'm going to also be revamping the back matter of all of my books, publishing audiobooks. I'm going to be changing the blurbs. There's going to be a lot of moving parts. And so I want to keep track here with those colorful stickers and color code of each series of what I'm supposed to be working on and what needs to actually get finished in any given month. So for January, it's going to be some of the audiobooks. It's going to be putting Project Phoenix tasks into Asana so I can get my team, which includes my husband, who's going to be doing all the uploads for me and the formatting in Vellum. So that will be his job. And there will also be hopefully a Mirror of Shadows being edited and either published or put on pre-order and so on. So all of that will get listed here so I can see at a glance. And I might not like pre-plan the second half of the year because this is another thing that is really important for me that to have learned about myself and to try to remember as I go is I suck at deadlines. Like if it's an external deadline, like the course is, people are waiting for me to launch a course. Publish and Thrive, by the way, if you want to learn all about indie publishing, I have a full walkthrough of what's in the course. I will put that down below. That class opens January 17th and we start on January 31st. I have had so much success with the students in that class, and I would love, love, love for you to come and join us. Publish and Thrive will be getting some extra behind the scenes bonuses throughout the year on things that are working in this career. So if you want in on that, definitely come join us. But I know that that has to happen. So that is going to be a priority. But the writing, because I'm an indie, is just fully when I get to it. And so it has always taken a back seat to those other external deadlines. And so I suck at being able to write to a deadline or publish certain things to a deadline. So I'm going to try to be better at it this year. I have a membership too that I know many of you are in. We have about 350 members. It's called the Follow Through Fix. It's actually only open until January 18th or 20th, something like that. And then we'll open it again mid year. But it's all about following through. And I'm going to have my own mastermind group inside their accountability group. And I'm going to be following through on some of these things too, because, you can be really great at following through, like I said, on some things, and other things just slip through the cracks over and over, like certain habits, or like maybe you're really good at your career, but your house is a mess, or maybe you're prioritizing your like children and your career and your job stuff, but your health is a mess. We all have things where we are good at it or we've really gotten our S together. And then we all have places that we need to improve. And so this is me telling you that when it comes to sticking to deadlines, this is a problem for me. This little "don't let imperfections get in the way of progress" is also from Cloth and Paper. Here is where I was working on the color code. So I, at one point, bought this full set of stickers from Amazon. And so I went through pretty much every like mild liner and Tombow dual brush pen, trying to find the one that matched up as close as I could. And y'all, I spent so much time on this. And now I don't know where all those pins are. And I'm just like, this is another thing I'll be working on in the follow through fix this year, is just like getting my house organized. And I actually am going to be sharing that process with you guys here as well. It's going to be called Me in Progress. And it is going to be all about me getting my life together in these areas that have been suffering for a little while, as I've been like hyper focused on one area of my life before I turn 50. So I think it's going to be a great year for content. But if you have any other suggestions of things you'd love to see on this channel, we're going to be probably redoing the How to Plot Your Novel series and talking more about how to edit. There's a lot of good stuff that I have planned for this year, but we'll see how much of it we get through. But anyway, this was the color like swatches page. And then last year I had printed out, like in 2024, a plan for when I was going to be working on some of those books. This, for the most part, did not happen. We will just leave that in the dust. But I wanted to keep some of these pages to remember how I was using the plans. So I had like different little notes and things like that. This was the final project key for the ones that matched the stickers I wanted to use. So I think these are all Tombows. So I just need to go find them and, it'll be fine. But this eventually, once I find them, I'll just take these pages out because I won't need them anymore. This little top tab is showing that I've got another section here. These I'm reusing because I printed them and never ended up using them. But this is like a Cornell notes page that I got off of Etsy. And then this is just a month at a glance on one page with priorities and goals. I will link to it wherever I got it. I can't remember, but I had put 2025 on here. I'm just going to white this out and change it. Or maybe I can just listen, you can always reuse things. There's no shame in having a year where you just didn't quite follow through on every single thing that you wanted to do. Like, we can shame ourselves so much, but in the end, I did a lot of stuff in 2025, just not this stuff. So I hope you can give yourself that same grace. But I have all of those pages going up through, I think, July, and then it's just basic pages. And I have a little paper clip down here at the bottom. So there's just some extra pages to put some of that strategy notes on here. Then we have another tab, and this one is going to be for the edits and marketing for A Mirror of Shadows. This is just some of the Broken Chapter Society stuff. These little clouds I got from a shop called Simply Create Doodles that is no longer around. This was my previous cover, which has my mood board for A Mirror of Shadows. And then I just have these cloth and paper sheets. There's nothing else in this section other than this. I think she just calls these like notes. I can't remember because they've got the space on the side to like put the checklist or whatever, but these are from Cloth and Paper. And then I have this little bookmark. You can't really see it great, but it says cherry on top, and it has a little hole in it so that you can put a charm down here at the bottom. And I have this charm that came from a shop in Charleston that I cannot remember the name of. It's like Acorn. I can't remember, but they made this for me because it has the dragonfly and the little pin and the book. It's a mother and daughter team. I don't even know if they're still in business, but if they are, I will find them and I will link it down below. But I love this little charm. It used to be on my traveler's notebook. So cute. So that is down there. Then the next tab is for A Throne of Thorns. Again, this cover was done by Raven. She has done the majority of my covers. She did all of my Eternal Sorrows covers, all of my Shadow Demon Saga covers. So I've been working with her on these covers since 2015. And I just love the covers that she's done for the Shadow Game series. So that's this one. I have taped to the back of the image my writing plan. So all of this stuff that you're going to see coming up now is stuff that is available for free as printables inside my resource library. So you can just go grab them. These, I think, are in the folder called Writing Trackers. So the writing plan, you can list the title, the word count goal, and how many words you hope to write per day. And then you can track the start date and you have goal and actual. And this is really good for helping you plan. I used this religiously back in 2018, 2019, because it's very helpful for somebody who doesn't always hit deadlines to have a target date and then see how I did. Because if I say, oh, I want to finish the plotting by January 15th, and then I don't actually get it done till February 15th. The next time I go to guesstimate how long it's going to take me, I know I need a month longer than what I originally thought. So it's just helpful in that way. So when do you hope to start? When do you hope to have the plotting done? Of course, if you don't plot, you can change that out or just delete it. Rough draft deadline, edits, betas, editor, final edits, formatting, arcs, and then release date. Then there's a review, like final word count, how long did it take me to produce the book, and how did I feel while writing it. This is just an index card that I used some dot markers. I think these are like metallic dot markers to mark a color code yet again for different phases of writing, because this next writing tracker is, I think it's just called HB Writing Tracker, has a place for title and your word count goal. And then you can mark the date and then what phase of the writing process you're in. So here's my phases as I define them. Prep, which is basically just like putting this thing together or getting my plotting wall set up. Plot, which of course is figuring out a basic outline, which I know not everybody does. Drafting, which is basically a first draft. Revisions, edits. So for me, the revisions are self revisions. Edits is inputting things that my editor has suggested, and then publishing is all of the formatting and things like that. Then I can put like, so I might put in green because it's the color of the dot. I would put prep phase. Here's how I did on this day. And here's any notes that I have about how it went or what I was thinking or whatever. And I would ideally track each phase of the process. I have only done this entire thing for one book ever, because at some point I inevitably forget to mark my progress, or it starts to take me so long to write the book. This is what happened with Vanessa Shaw. It just took me so long to write that book that I just finally was like, I can't even keep filling out pages. But I'm hopeful that with this book, I can do it. So you've got more pages than this available in the writing tracker, but I just left one of them out because I don't think, we'll see, I'm going to need that much time. And then at the end, you've got this sort of tally, time totals per writing phase. So you've got, here's the phases. When did you hope to start and finish? So that's very similar to this writing plan. You don't need them both. When did you finish it? How many total days did it take you to finish that phase? Target word count, and then actual word count, and how many hours you invested in each phase. So this is kind of similar to the writing plan, but it's just a more detailed breakdown of each phase and how long you spent on it and the notes. And I am determined that I'm going to come back to you guys in like March and be able to say, here's how it worked out for A Throne of Thorns, because I really want to keep track of it. So this is part of my follow through fix goals, which in that membership, we're really supporting each other in small groups and in a couple of monthly live streams and emails and things like that, private podcast, to follow through on things. And everybody can choose multiple things they want to follow through on, or they can focus in on one thing. I'm starting mostly with answering emails and hiring team member. And then when I get back from this trip, I'm going to be focused on edits. And so for me, I'm going to be focusing mainly on one thing at a time. All right, then I've got my word count tracker. This is in a lot of the different trackers inside the resource library, but this is basically just a chance to track every single writing sprint that you do. Not everybody writes in sprints, so you could just use it for sessions rather than sprints. But for me, I write usually in 20-minute writing sprints. So I would put the date here and then how much I wrote during that 20 minutes, how much I've written total for the day. So the first one is just going to be the same total for the sprint, the day, and then the total. But then on the second one, it might be the same date, but then I write more in the second sprint. So then I add them together for the day and add them together for the total. And eventually I'll have, the whole book is finished. And I'll have a record of how much I wrote every single day of the draft. This is just a postcard that has all my book covers as they currently are now. These were the ones that were all done by Raven back in 2015, 2016. However, I think I'm going to be getting new covers for this series. Don't know if Raven will do them or I'll go with somebody else, but it kind of makes me sad because I love those covers, but it's time. This was another mood board I had done from Pinterest for Mirror Shadows. And then I also have from Etsy, I got this dot grid paper. This is 3mm dot grid, so it's very small, but in the pack that I bought has 3, 4, and 5mm. And I printed the 3, but now I'm like, this seems maybe too small, so we'll see how it goes. But I just printed a few of those pages, and then I still have some of those Cornell notes. This was another Coffee Queen. This came from the Simply Create Doodles that is no longer available. I do have this picture of me with the kids because I like to remember why it is I am working so hard is to give them a better future. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I work so hard, partially just because it fulfills me, but also just remembering that, they are the priority above all, even the work. These are the cloth and paper duo notes where you've got blank and then grid. I love these pages, so I have a bunch of those in here as well. This next section is for my final book of the Shadow Demon Saga. So as I'm writing the Shadow Games, I'm also going to be working on all of the plotting that goes into this final book. And like I said, book 11 came out in 2021. So I have to get myself way back into this. I have to work through the personal resistance of getting back to a series that I feel like I messed up on. And I feel like there's a lot of people who are like no longer interested in that final book, and I have to like get over that pressure and that feeling of like, oh, you ruined it, and just get back to the joy of writing it. So that's kind of my mental health struggle, and part of doing that is working in this notebook. So I have again another vision board kind of for that book. This is the book cover and the title, so I did hide that for now. And then here I have some of those same little pages, the writing plan, the tracker, but there's more pages in this tracker. And then, because I feel like that's going to take me months, I'll be lucky if this book comes out this year. But when we talk about intentions, I would like to publish the entirety of the Shadow Games series because it is a prequel to the Shadow Games or the Shadow Demon Saga. And then I would like to publish that final book of the Shadow Demon Saga. This would be like the greatest accomplishment if I could get that done. I don't know, because I want to give myself the grace of like understanding it will take however long it takes for it to come together in my mind and for me to get over the mental hurdles that I have, but I'm going to do my best. So I created this reading plan years ago, but it's the same books. I haven't changed, but I need to read back through all of these books, and the audiobooks we're up to book 7. They're going to be working on book 8 soon. So I'm just going to listen to the audiobooks, but I just need to be remembering everything that happened. I do have a wiki, which is basically a series Bible, although I'm going to be moving that into a different format for my next series, but it's hard. I can't even show you some of these pages because these are like old pages, but they have a lot of spoilers on them. So I will just show you this section. This is my how to plot your novel. If you look in the resource library, it's just called Plot Your Novel. And there is an entire series that I did in 2018, I believe, could have been 2019, on how to plot. I want to redo that because I want to redo this whole workbook. I'll still let this workbook be there for you guys, but I want to increase the value of this. So hopefully there'll be time this year to do that. But for now, there's a bunch of questions to ask about your characters and your inner journey. Then there's a goal, motivation, conflict here, along with where's your character arc in the beginning, middle, and end of the book. And then there's a walkthrough of the different story beats of 3-act structure with a blank sheet of dot grid for scenes lists and a little, it's really just like a see the 4 pieces of the book, act 1, 2, and 3. And so that is all here. But because I write for, there's going to be multiple POVs in this final book. I think there's at least 7 points of view in the final book, and it's probably going to be a beast, like 170,000 words. But I print out, I have 4 main POV characters that are, they each have their own real full character arc in the book. So I've got them separated by color because these characters are always color coded. Purple is Harper, blue is Jackson, red is Leah, and or red is Airden, and green is Leah. So I have those same characters print, the whole plotting notebook printed out for each character. So that is available there. I also do have the pages from the Rough Draft Challenge, the working outline section, because I thought that might be helpful as well. I have a clear pocket that just has some stickers in it. I'll probably be adding those color code stickers I was talking about to this. And then more of that tiny little dot grid, more of the notes pages. Then this last 2 sections of the planner are really just kind of like future books and dream life, manifesting kind of stuff. So this is my little dream life vision board. And then I have this, many of you know that I have been keeping for a while an evidence notebook, which is basically the idea of if you're working on something that you want to manifest into your life or something that you want to prove to yourself, like if you're afraid, like I'm afraid I'm not a good writer, and you want to build your confidence in terms of your self-belief of how you are as a writer, then if someone were to read a chapter of your book and they go, wow, you're a really great writer, you could screenshot that and put it into your evidence notebook. This is evidence that I am a good writer. If you get a good review, there's more evidence. If you're at a coffee shop and people are like, wow, I love that idea, there's more evidence. So you just start to stack up evidence. I found these little index things of, it's like these are from Cloth and Paper. I think they must have come in the subscription box at one point, which I don't get anymore, but I still have these like lingering inserts. And it says moment, and then it has the dot grid over here. And I was like, this is perfect for putting like a photo or a screenshot or marking what the moment was. And I'm going to start adding in here. I told you I'm working through that mental block of nobody's waiting for book 12 anymore. Nobody cares. I know it's not true, but it's just my own blocks of like, I can't do it. It's too hard, all of those kind of things. And so I made too many mistakes. That's another one. So every time something happens or someone says something that refutes that negative belief, I'm going to put it in this section. So I've got a bunch of these sheets to help me believe in myself again. This is also an older vision board from a few years ago. And then more of those moment sheets. Then this final part is kind of a little bit of a clue into once I finish all the series that I'm currently writing, which is Shadow Demon Saga, Shadow Games, Eternal Sorrows, which is my zombie and witches series, and the Witch's Key series. Those are kind of the main ones that I'm working on. When those are all done, I have another series that I've been thinking through. This will give you a little bit of an idea if you are familiar with this anime. I gave this life everything I had. I was alive, Kirito and Asuna. And then there's just some pages for me to start doing some brainstorming. And then I saw this on Pinterest and thought it really kind of matches the vibe as well. And so that's just for like a repository for any additional ideas that I want to share, kind of like a little playground. So that is my current plotting notebooks. And, this year I'm not going to have a notebook challenge here in January, but this year for our notebook challenge, which we do every single month, we look through all the notebooks that I'm using. My goal for this year is more to show you every month. How is this getting filled out? Let me show you the pages. Let me show you how they're progressing, how well I'm doing following through. And I think that will be helpful for me, but it might also be interesting for you. Let me know if you're interested in seeing that. Before we go, another big intention and goal. I think that if I'm going to try to really, balance my time, I know that one vital part of writing more is I need to be reading more, watching more TV, playing more games, because if my well is dry, I just can't create. And that has been a huge part of the last 4 years. And why I haven't been writing as much as I want to is because all of my creativity goes into making these videos, hanging out with the kids and doing things for them. It's like I love my life very much. So this is not a complaint, but it's just I don't have anything left in the tank. And I know many of you relate to this because you have full-time jobs, you have families, you're caretakers, you have chronic illnesses, you have other things that just hold you back and are constantly a drain. And so by the end of the day, when you finally have a minute, you don't have anything left. And for me, the thing that helps refill that creative well so that I do have something left to give to my writing is reading. So I have a ton of books that are physical books, but I also want to be reading more on my devices because I have so many books that are in my TBR. And so this is going to be a priority for me. I have this amazing Kobo Libra color. It has its own little stylus here. So this could really be a whole notebook, really. But this is a gift. This was a gift from the Kobo Writing Life team, and I have loved this. I'm currently reading The Will of the Many, which is the Hierarchy Book 1 from James Islington. Love this. It is obviously slightly soft colors, and you can highlight in colors. You can draw on this. It's really cool device. Now, also, I have a lot of books in Kindle, like on my TBR that I have purchased over the years from Kindle. And so I want to still read that. I know people have said, oh, you can actually move them over to your Kobo and things like that. And if you haven't heard the news, Amazon is going to be letting you download books again. Like they took it away from us last year. And now they're adding it back in. But anyway, I have libraries at both places, Kobo and Kindle. I have had a Kobo or a Kindle Voyage for years, since 2013. And I just decided, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get a Kindle Color Soft for my birthday this year. And I went ahead and bought it. My birthday isn't for a couple of weeks, but I went ahead and bought it because we have this plane trip tomorrow and I wanted to be able to use it. So I bought just a clear case and put some paper behind it and put some of my little stickers here. And I like putting, I don't know who came up with this, but originally putting these pop sockets on it was so brilliant. I love it. And this is the Color Soft. So I'm pretty excited to be using this. Here I am reading book 8 of The Wheel of Time, which we named our daughter after this series because it's my husband's like favorite fantasy series. But I never made it all the way through the series because during my pregnancy with Evie, I read book 7, and then it has taken me this long to get to chapter 6 of book 8 because I just have not had time to read, which I know is pathetic, but it is the truth. This is it. This is the Kindle Color Soft, and I think it's just really cool. So I am excited to be reading more, and hopefully having both of these amazing devices will do it. I'm also, once I've used this a little bit, I'll do a little review, but so far I really truly love the Kobo Libra because it has buttons on it, which is one of the reasons that I held on to the Kindle Voyage for as long as I did. I still have it. I did not get rid of it, but I like having the buttons, but I'll let you know how I like this as well. I'm taking this with me on the trip. And hopefully I'm going to be reading more. I'm going to be gaming more this year. I'm going to be just taking a more holistic look at my mental health and my actual health. And I know that focusing on my health more is going to free up more energy and time for me to do other things that I want to do and give me a little bit more brain power to be able to write and to show up more efficiently. So this year is a lot about systems, a lot about taking care of myself, a lot about setting myself up to really just fully nurture myself so that I can create, but also giving myself a lot of grace for the times that I need to slow down. So another long video from me. Thank you so much. If you made it all the way to the end, please put a little book emoji down below so I know you made it to the end. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this look at it. I'm excited to show you how it sort of evolves and progresses. Like I said, I also will be using Asana, which is a free project management software because I am building a team this year and I am determined to get them to help me because I think that's the only way I'm going to be able to balance all these things, not just by sheer force of will. I'll just create time because I know we can't do that, but by getting more help and support, I will be able to create and carve out a little bit more time for myself. So I will keep you guys updated on that. Hopefully you are going to enjoy the content coming this year. If you are not subscribed, I would love for you to subscribe. And otherwise, I just love you guys. I hope you're having an amazing start to your year, and I will see you in next week's video. All right. Bye.